That's it, day one of probably the most exciting FNCS I've ever seen has just come to an end, and it was wild. Make sure you like the video for the algorithm so it gets pushed out to more people, and send it to one of your friends so they know how FNCS day one went. Let's start off with EU. Literally no one could agree of who was going to do well on EU day one before it started. Like, there was no favourite. I asked 15 people and there were 5 different answers for who would come first, 6 different answers for who would come second, and 7 different answers of who would come third. That just shows you literally no one could agree on a single thing. However, when all said and done and the 6 games had been played, this is what the leaderboard was looking like. We had Swizzy and Vanyak take it out with a complete domination of a performance, winning 2 games out of the 6 matches and being a solid 70 points ahead of second place. They played absolutely incredible, with their first 4 games being a 5th, a 1st, a 9th and a 1st. They unfortunately fell off a little bit towards the end, but they still managed to retain their very good lead. Second place was Cringe and Noms. This is a team that again kind of fell off towards the end of the day. They started off super strong with an 8th, a 4th and a 2nd with 10 kills. It was after that it kind of went downhill with a 13th, 35th and 17th, but they are still kind of in the game. Seti and Cami are 3rd thanks to one man and one man only, Cami. Their kills have been a little bit off today with not many high kill games being dropped, but the second game especially was one of the best solo clutches I've ever seen from a player. Cami went from mid game all the way to 6th place in a 26 minute and 57 second game. This is crazy as the surge was reaching in the thousands of damage needed, and he managed all that on his own with his signature water bending and ended up coming 6th. Seti and Cami were definitely the consistency team today with a 6th, 6th, 13th, 7th, 8th and 8th. They only came outside the top 10 of one time. In 4th we had Trulex and Chico, who flew a bit under the radar today but were pretty consistent with some solid games. Queasy and Thomas HD did surprisingly well today. We knew they were contested by 3, possibly 4 teams coming to this, and they managed to pretty much nail all of their spawn fights, not going down once. Their endgames were slightly dodgy, with one of them normally dying towards the end of the game and the other one trying to solo clutch, leading to a lot of placements from the 10th to 15th mark. In 6th we had Relvis and Dabble, who were a surprise team for a relatively unknown team that managed to win game 1. Sky and Scroll in 7th. Scroll is super interesting because he literally uses his scroll wheel to scroll between weapons and his build pieces. That is incredible for a player of that skill. Mustache and Malabuka, 8th. This was a really disappointing performance for them. I know I said there were no favourites on my poll I ran, however 50% of people said that they would win. They died of spawn 2 games and then ended up bringing it back in the last 4, though they didn't have that massive win they were looking for. Some disappointing performances today definitely wasn't Vino and Tayson. 17th place. This is not what we'd expect from some of the best players in the world. They were landing fencing field with Podesai and Snazy, and they were really struggling with Surge. Vico and Pink were having a terrible day, coming 24th, and this was mainly because the chains of Hazes were vaulted, meaning they couldn't fish as fast, which meant they were spending longer at their location and less time getting a Surge. They were quite often getting caught in Storm, meaning dying early. Triple and Frodoxy in 36th also had a horror. And finally, Andalex and Sato in 46th were having a mare. They were landing next to Cami and Seti though, so that probably had something to do with it. I'd say MVP of day 1 EU was Cami. He had an absolute crazy day, and we need to put respect on that man's name. Okay, on to NA. My god, NA was a crazy region today, but I think we just had the most obvious grand finals we could have ever seen. There is something wrong with the egos of NA this season, and for some reason 4 people are trying to land fencing fields, having a single barn each. So there's 8 players landing fencing fields, and guess who has Grim Gate uncontested? If you guess Peterbot and Poyo, you'd be correct. And this uncontested means that the only game they really struggled in was the first game, and the first game was still an 8 kill third. Poyo went down early and Peterbot had to clutch up pretty hard to get his 3rd place. That being said, they're on 486 points with 2 wins. Now their consistency is pretty unmatched. Having the Grim Gate medallion means that it is practically impossible to lose this. And to be honest, I really hope someone greets them tomorrow for a bit of fun in the tournament, because at the moment they are practically running away with the FNCS title. Their games are a 8 kill third, a 7 kill second, a 7 kill win, a 7 kill win, a 5 kill 8th, and a 7 kill 4th. Pretty ridiculous. An average place of 3 and an average elims of almost 7 in grand finals is crazy. And in second place we have Canada and Cooper. They actually won 2 games as well, though their other games were a lot less consistent. They still played pretty crazy though. They only had 2 pretty average games with a 0 kill 21st and a 3 kill 11th, and the rest of their games were top 10. And they are still over 100 points off Peterbot and Puyo. But with 1.5 times points coming into tomorrow, they are our only hope of seeing somebody else win FNCS. In third we have Bryce and Bolt. They're pretty consistent, they actually got quite a lot of kills in their gameplay. Then we have Rituals and Reet. They played pretty solid and always looked very together in endgame, which I really liked. Backer and Pars came 5th, Sphinx and Threats came 6th. They really turned up the pace in the second half of this event, starting off with a 10th and 37th and finishing with a 9th, 16th, 5th and 13th. And something of note, in 7th we have Paco and Mixon. This is an EU team coming to NA, and they've managed to clutch up a 7th on their first day of NA Grand Finals. They started off the day with an absolute bang, getting a 2nd place with 6 elims. It was crazy seeing looking at height and seeing an EU team on height in NA. It was absolutely crazy. They fortunately got 2v1'd by Canada about 3 seconds later, but it was still very exciting to watch. They also had an 8th today and a 2nd place to end the day. Their other games were slightly dodgy. I think they were struggling with Surge those games, but it's still very exciting to see possibly a tier 3 EU team come so high on NA. Couple other notable placements, Clix and Epic Whale in 16th. They were really struggling with placement today, as they were struggling with Storm Surge. We kind of knew this would happen because Clix and Epic Whale's strategy for Storm Surge was going up and box fighting a team at Rebels Roost, and this isn't the best in my opinion. In Grand Finals lobbies, these players are the best in the world, so if your box fighting is even slightly off, you're not going to do as much damage, and the Surge was crazy. Like, we're talking like almost 1,000 damage needed. They had one good game, a 7 kill 6, but that was it for today. Hopefully the Clix fans, we can get some more good games tomorrow. Curve and Envy Tyler actually surprised everyone. They started this tournament off with a 7 kill 5th and a 5 kill 9th, but then completely fell off. This was a pretty unknown team, and they were like top 2 after the first 2 games, just behind Peterbot. I didn't quite know what happened to them after those first 2 games, but maybe they can recapture some of that form tomorrow. Yomzo and Rise are doing pretty terrible. I'm pretty sure they're struggling with Storm Surge or lack of loot. Same with Aegis and Booga, not great. Acorn and Cold are also 31st. They're one of the teams that quadruple conned at fencing fields. I still don't know why there are 4 teams selling fencing fields, but there is no one landing Grimgate with Peterbot and Puyo. Surely it's meta. These players are coming out with like 1 SMG and spending the whole game trying to find the rest of the loot, and therefore going down to Storm Surge, or they're dying off spawn. I don't see the point, personally. Either way, there are a lot of teams that are causing upsets at the top end and at the bottom end of the leaderboard, and I cannot wait for day 2 of both EU and NA. Make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss that video where I break down everything that happened on day 2. I appreciate all your support. Make sure you watch this one on the screen, as it is an absolute banger and you do not want to miss it. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen.